Dear Viva Techers, the next 3 minutes are going to change your life. At Sanofi, we want to use digital and data to change the practice of medicine. Our aim is to build the leading digital healthcare platform for all constituents of the value chain. And by that, change everything we do from the research all the way to the patient interaction using digital and data. For that, we need you. Yes, you. How can you help us? Well, we're going to tell you a few things we're doing and how much talent we're trying to get into the company. New talent, new thinking in areas that we think are right for the future. So maybe, Diane, we start with you a little bit. When you think of how data can change how we do R&D, can you give us a few examples? Because it's the amount of data we have is just unbelievable. And I think people need to understand that this is the place to be if you want to be a data scientist, for example.
Absolutely. So thank you, Arnaud. If you like data and solving data-fueled problems that are really at the cutting edge, then this is what we're talking about. Yeah, the data digital transformation is occurring in all pharma companies right now. So our journey really is here and now. It's incredibly exciting to be a part of, especially at a large global company where the data we have access to and multitude of challenges that we tackle are huge. And I can describe a couple of research applications, so I'll focus on the research part of R&D, where we're finding druggable targets and optimizing molecules. So it's those two things that I'll talk about. And from those molecules, we do take them forward into clinical development to approve for use with patients. And these problems that we're tackling haven't been solved and simply just can't be solved by one researcher in one lab performing an experiment one after another. So instead, from a digital perspective, we're able to use high performance cloud computing. We can combine the longitudinal, meaning over many years or over many months, combining multidimensional data. So that means from patients where it's collected from doctor visits, we're able to combine that with biological data like genomics, proteomics. And when we take that data and feed it into an AI or a machine learning model, we can predict disease outcomes and how potential medicines can benefit a patient like you or me. And a second example is really around tackling the optimization of the drug molecule structure. So this is so cool from a chemistry perspective, because behind every drug, there's a structure to that molecule, which is a data-driven challenge because there's an infinite number of orientations of that drug. And so using digital technology, we can bring together the relevant and interesting structural data, and then scan all the possible orientations in short times. It's such a powerful tool. So really, for decades, chemists have been swapping out one orientation for another one in a very sequential way. And now we can do that all at once. We can look at every possibility simply all at once. So the important caveat here is a computer's prediction must be validated by a smart scientist. And a scientist that knows, a bit about biology, a bit about, what makes a successful drug. So here, truly the lines are being blurred between a person, having both the scientific understanding of chemistry and biology, as well as the technical side. And it doesn't have to be a 50-50 blend. We're really looking for all blends of data science and scientists.
Great, thank you. And I think you've mentioned, I think implicitly, but the amount of data that we have just for R&D that we collect on an everyday basis, whether it's from instruments or from doctors' visits, etc. Just to give a sense to the audience, right? It's in the, you have gigabytes, and then you have terabytes, and then you have petabytes. We're actually further out. And so I think if you're a data scientist and you really want to play with real big data, this is the place to be. And at the same time, I think worth mentioning, we're modernizing completely our entire data platforms. And so if you look at typical pharma companies in general, right? I think a lot of the platforms are what you've used to do in the research a few years ago. And now we're really pushing the envelope with quite modern data platforms. And we're excited if you could be part of that venture. So thank you, Diane. Very exciting. I'm in personally, for sure. Emmanuel, if we turn to you, and this is an area that's a little different, right, from traditional pharma, because we're really trying to push the envelope in the digital space and bring a lot of the best practices, right, and know-how of other industries into pharma. But to do that, we have a couple of different talents and skills that we really need that are a bit new to pharma. Can you tell us maybe a little more about product owners, for example, Scrum Masters and others?
Sure. I think most of us, when we look at roles, we want to have a place where we can have a big impact. That impact can come from creating a disruptive business model, like the likes of tech companies do, or you can do it by improving people's lives. So the beauty of what we do is we improve people's lives. And so when you were talking about a product owner, what do we do? They have the mission to create solutions that help improve people's lives. As an example, to illustrate this, our digital product owners have the important responsibility of building apps that help patients manage their diabetes. That's a condition that can be debilitating in certain cases, and it affects millions of people. So when you're a product owner and you're really speaking to patients to understand how you can help them with a digital companion app that will change their lives and make their lives improve over time, I think the impact is felt. At the same time, the technology is very innovative because you're right there at the cusp of what we do. Another example is we use our Agile teams to create apps that help patients manage their disease. We have an exciting initiative right now with one of our star drugs, Dupixent, to help people that suffer from atopic dermatitis, which can be a crippling condition in certain situations. The apps here are really a vehicle to support them in their journey and keep them engaged as a patient to help them recover. It's very personal at the same time. It's digital, it's personal, because everyone is unique. So when you're a product owner at Sanofi, not only do you get to work on very interesting stuff, but at the same time, it's very impactful stuff, because the apps that we do are straight in the hands of the patients that we support.
And Emmanuel, what are the typical skills you'll be looking for product owners? Because for many people, it means different things, right? But when we think of product owners in the scope of digital, what are the 2 or 3 things that you feel are particularly required if you want?
I think the first skill is curiosity. You want to be able to really be inquisitive as a person. The other one, I would say, is you're going to be fairly organized, because you're going to get a lot of needs coming from your patients, your customers, the business that we support. And you've got to be able to be organized to prioritize that. And I would say the third one is leadership. We want people that are very autonomous leaders, because when you work as a product owner, you're like the mini CEO of your app. You're empowered, you control the destiny of it. And therefore, you bring the team with you. You're convincing them this is the right thing to do. So empowerment, leadership, I think it's more than 3, but that's what I look for.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the role to me, and I think when you say the CEO of your app is actually the best way to describe it probably, right? But it's also the ability, right, to capture a lot of requirements coming from different places, right? The business wants to do something, the patient wants to do something, the doctor has a perspective, and to put all that and package it into one solution that solves it all. There's a lot of creativity, right, involved as well. So definitely an exciting role. Having being close to many of them, I think it's a pretty unique role. But what about Scrum Masters?
Scrum Masters are equally important. They are really the other facet of the delivery. I think the easiest way to qualify a Scrum Master is to say they're the project managers, but in an agile way. It's a very different project manager. And I like to think that the Scrum Master is the one that gets these things done. They ensure that the team is accountable to the deliverable. They're also very honest with when we're not quite there where we need to be. And they're the ones that ensure that all the blockers are removed. We speak about servant leadership in those roles. Why? Because there's no hierarchical relationship. It's truly a servant leader in the way that you're here to help the team achieve the objectives. And the objectives are just like, as you were saying, Arnaud, all those requirements that come from all over the place that you've now synthesized in user stories, the Scrum Master is really here to make sure that the team can deliver to that expectation.
Is it fair to say that if the product owner is the CEO, the Scrum Master is kind of the COO?
I think it's a really good way to put it, yeah.
All right, excellent. But everyone, Viva Techers, thank you for listening to this. For us, we're trying to bring a really new talent into the company. We give you a bit of flavor between data scientists, product owners, Scrum Masters. But in essence, we're really using digital and data to transform the practice of medicine. And the goal in itself is incredibly important, obviously, for all of us as human beings. And being part of that story is remarkable. At Sanofi, we're absolutely committed to that, obviously, but more importantly, we need the talent to do it. We can't do it on our own. Emmanuel is very good, Diane is very good, but we can't do it on our own. And we need the talent. We need you. And if you're interested in those roles or other roles that you want to explore with us, please come visit us or reach out to us in any way you can. We are growing the teams, we're expanding roles. That's a pretty exciting time. Emmanuel, any last words?
I think you're convincing, Arnaud, but I'd like to just throw one more thing to try to convince them. If you want to work on things that have a big purpose and not just a small feature in a tech company, but really a large set of experiences, digital experiences that will affect the lives of patients, I think we're the right place for you and would love to have you on board.
Excellent. And Diane, what about you? Final words?
I would say this is, the transformation in pharma is truly at the cutting edge. And so to be a leader in the space, to be able to bring medicines, write publications, this is where you can do it.
Excellent. Well, I truly lied at the beginning that it would be 2 or 3 minutes, but in the 7 or 8 minutes that it happened, it can change your life. And so come join us in the movement to transform the practice of medicine using digital and data.